What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 1030 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. We are off to a fantastic start today on a Friday. I am here with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Happy Friday. It is a beautiful day, and we are addicted to stimulants and taking massive amounts of caffeine, which makes it even better. It's going to be a great episode.
Well, you know what it was? When I was out sick, I didn't drink any caffeine at all for almost 2 weeks. So, like, that first cold brew back, I was like, holy shit.
I have never felt that way with caffeine, actually. Like, I always just drink it for the taste. It doesn't get me hopped up.
Well, I mean, like, I've actually come to like the taste of the cold brew so much so that if Timcast ends up doing like another cold brew because they have their Vault Black concentrate, like if they do another one, I'm like, I want in on helping coming up with the flavor for that one.
I want canned nitro cast brew. Is that in the works? Is that in the pipeline anytime soon? Because I would definitely buy that.
Too expensive. Like you have to buy like a massive amount for it to be viable. Like there's no profit margin at all. It's already thinner when you get the glass bottle. Because the glass bottle is also, I mean, it's more of like a collector's item in a lot of ways. Because the cold brew that I drink is literally like great value cold brew from Walmart. So.
I wouldn't trust that.
I love it. I love it.
But I'm more of an espresso person anyway.
Okay.
So
I don't know the difference. I'm not a coffee. I'm not a coffee aficionado.
I'm gonna keep buying woke coffee from Starbucks who hates me because I'm a hypocrite. That's why.
Oh, Eric David in the chat says Tim just came out with those 50 milligram shots you mix with your water for those who didn't watch IRL last night. Yes, if there's anybody here that wants to go and try and find me one over at the other building, they're welcome to go and look. That would be fantastic. If there was like a coffee shot that just appeared to me, that would be fantastic. I didn't even think of that. You, my friend, are very smart. I was like sitting here like, I'd like to get a little bit more caffeine before the show today.
Me up. And we have a $20 super chat before I forget from Shane H. Wilder. Happy Friday, Brett and Mary. You never appreciate the quality and nuance of Mary Cringe until you are subjected to the unspeakable horror that is Olivia Cringe. Never take Mary Cringe for granted, lest ye be damned to much worse. I did see the cringe from yesterday, and I mean, she really did a good job curating that one. That was quite something.
You know what it was to me? It's like that was like the Discord version of the video of the girls being arrested, of the guy faking being arrested.
Yeah,
it's just weird.
Core, yeah,
that's weird, definitely. Man.
I mean, but they were like obviously making fun of themselves, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, he had to do the like, unless that animation is like an in-app thing. Like,
no, it is.
Okay, yeah. I was like, otherwise,
but
almost respect to the dedication.
Now that I think about it, is like, is it less cringe that it's them doing it as a bit? Because like, imagine doing that as a bit in the mirror, like taking your shirt off and like screaming at the camera. Like that is still pretty cringe on its own.
It reminds me of like, I've told this story before. I don't know if the video is still up. There was a YouTuber back, I'm talking like over a decade ago now, probably back to the early 2010s, because that was when he was doing, it was probably before 2010. He had a series called Musical Autopsy, a guy named Joseph Buckley. That was his YouTube channel. And he would also do other videos where it wasn't always music stuff. It was sometimes he'd comment on articles and stuff in the news, or I guess. And there was one called like, he had a video called like You're Weird and That's Okay. And it was about a guy who was an otherkin that worked at a grocery store and would like write, I guess, maybe on forums or in an article about like transforming in the middle of his shift.
And imagine you're just trying to buy your groceries.
Exactly.
And this guy starts transforming into a werewolf.
Right in front of you.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I don't want that.
And sometimes, you're weird and it's not okay. It's not okay that you're weird. If that's what you mean by weird, That's not okay.
I think his point was more like, I'd have to go back and rewatch the video. I don't think his point was to say like, I think the article was about the guy wanting to be accommodated for his job, like being a I guess a fake werewolf. And he's like, like it's okay that you're weird, but you can't expect everybody to accommodate your every whim. At least that's what I vaguely remember.
They always do. That's the problem with weird people. They never don't want to involve you in it.
Well,
That's the problem.
It was like the early 2010s, though. Like, even engaging in that discussion, if you weren't also a weird person, you were probably going to get a more reasoned take than you would get today.
This is something that people are arguing about in my Instagram comments right now because of a post I made basically mocking the concept of doing whatever you want as long as it doesn't hurt anybody.
Mary is no libertarian.
I will just refuse to elaborate when people like play dumb about a concept that simple. Maybe they're not even playing dumb. Maybe they're just actually dumb, which is easy to believe. But I'm just not going to be explaining myself and providing examples and giving a whole PowerPoint presentation on it. It's just obvious at this point in the Big 26 that weird people are hurting other people with their weirdness. I could go into excruciating detail, actually. I was telling Brett about inflation fetishists off air, but we're not going to get into detail about that. It's just like something that's been on my mind lately.
I literally thought she was talking about people who are really into like fiscal inflation.
Yeah, no, we're not talking about money inflation. We're talking about balloons, y'all. And like they call themselves looners because it's short for balloon lover.
I was so happy before I knew what that was.
Yeah, be glad that that's the kind of content you find on a internet show most of the time, at least not this show.
Yes, perfect. I mean, like that's because I'm not going into the depths of the internet to find that. I don't have a hazmat suit thick enough to do that. So,
well, they do. they have hazmat suits, believe me, and they're inflatable.
Perfect. Guys, hit the like button on this episode, please. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you've not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. As I keep mentioning, guys, if you're not watching live, if you're watching the segments, please like the videos, like the live streams, comment on the videos in the live streams. We are still, for the foreseeable future, we are going to be kind of clawing our way back algorithmically because of that week and a half that we missed, which just leaves me feeling tired knowing that it's just Deadpool and Wolverine all over again till you're 90. It's just never gonna end.
Disclaimer before we get started, again, because it's a Friday, everybody in Nashville wants to be extra annoying. So if you hear music blasting on my end, it's not me. It's the people who think that it's really cool to blast music from their cars with their windows down.
And we are going to be we have like a hard out at 5 today. We'll be, ending the stream at that point. So, we got a gifted membership from Crouching Taylor. Thank you so much. Yes, guys, you can gift other people memberships and give them access to the emojis and everything. And I am still working on more bonus content for everybody. This week I did do IRL twice, so I didn't really have a chance to do any type of bonus content. Like the idea of like, maybe that's like the ultimate gauntlet would be to do like PCC IRL and then come back here at 11 o'clock at night to then like record a bonus episode with somebody. And then I just like slump over and die in my chair.
This job is going to kill you.
One day. So what are we talking about today? We got a bunch of stuff to get into. We are going to discuss about Ozempic divorce, ladies and gentlemen. It had to happen. We all know that. What is this? The women folk are shallow, and the second they get skinny, they're going to kick that guy to the curb. That's not actually what the article says. It's a little bit more nuanced than that. So we'll get into the whole concept of Ozempic divorce. We're also going to talk about the fact that once again, Hollywood wants to put predictive programming into effect. No longer can a bad guy just be a bad guy. They have to be a misunderstood person. In this case, the upcoming Netflix Cinderella offshoot is going to turn the evil stepsisters into
The misunderstood stepsisters.
The misunderstood. It's in the name right there. The misunderstood stepsisters. So we will get into that. Also, Project Hail Mary writer Andy Weir was talking about his disdain for putting any type of political commentary in his works. That is something that a lot of people can appreciate. But we are also going to go into that and maybe talk about the fact that the massive budget for a film like this, which if any type of film sort of earns a budget of that size, it's one like this that has a grand scope. It's going to be hard for it to make its money back in a lot of ways. It's not a flop yet, but it's definitely one of those films that's going to have very strong legs, and hopefully that it holds out. So we'll get into all that. We got a whole bunch of other stuff. If you are ready, Mary, we can go. Are you ready?
Yeah, I think so.
Then let's go ahead and get right into it.
So the 5th and final season of The Boys just aired a couple of days ago, and people are noticing that Erin Moriarty looks practically nothing like she did in the first season back in 2019. She would claim that has literally nothing to do with plastic surgery or tweakments, and I think that's a blatant lie. We'll rehash her earlier comments about plastic surgery in a second, but here are the before and afters that are spreading all over X. This caption says, "Ladies, you don't need it." I mean, I think there's no way you can explain this with just aging. She's 31 years old. Mm-hmm. So there's no real reason why she would look like a totally different person in the span of 5 years. Mm-hmm. It's being speculated that this is the result of buccal fat removal, which is certainly a possibility, but so you can definitely see that at the very least she has gotten lip fillers, injectables, and definitely a nose job.
I mean, I thought the lips were the less obvious there. Just looked like lipstick and like she was doing the overlining shtick on the top there.
Possible, but I don't know. Something to me looks like an overfilled face. Okay. And then this other post has different before and after showing her back in 2019 compared to now. It's really sad because she's a natural beauty and decided to completely wreck that. And people are calling it face bogging, which is a new term to me.
Can you explain?
Have you heard that before?
No, I have not. But you said a word earlier that I'd never heard before. Can you explain what a tweakment is?
Tweakment would be considered a subtle cosmetic change using injectables, probably like targeted Botox or very targeted small amounts of filler in the jawline or the nose or the forehead, but nothing that is incredibly obvious, or maybe a very subtle cosmetic procedure where you go under the knife.
Can I be honest about this? Like when I see these stories, I guess it's sad because it does indicate that if true, first of all, I hate the idea, even though we do it a lot, I don't necessarily always love the idea of the pontificating on like whether this stuff is happening or not, especially with someone like her. But I guess it does, for the most part, just kind of speak that if it is true, if we're to believe that it's not Graves' disease or whatever, it does speak to just how much problems with self-esteem, how many problems with self-esteem kind of come out of a traditional Hollywood career, right? Because I guess The Boys has now been on for 5 or 6 years. I don't know how many years they've had between seasons or anything like that, but she's not old by any stretch of the imagination, especially by Hollywood standards now. Like I keep saying earlier, like they're not hiring the 20-somethings anymore. It seems like most of what I'm seeing these days, they're in their late 20s at the earliest to early 30s. So she should be in the prime of her career right now. So there was no reason to do anything to her face. And it's just kind of gross. And so, I don't know. Like, I kind of ward off to the side on this stuff because I don't know. And I don't know enough about plastic surgery to know whether she actually did anything. But it does make me feel sad for her if it's true and she's kind of denying it.
Well, to explain the face bogging thing that people are saying, it's according to Urban Dictionary when a famous person gets excessive, noticeable plastic surgery when it makes them look much worse. Referring to the Bogdanov brothers, Igor and Grishka, often used on 4chan. Some examples include Mickey Rourke and Joan Rivers. obviously those are older stars that we're talking about, but it's happening increasingly to younger stars like Erin Moriarty. But since you mentioned Graves' disease, this is a possible explanation. It's sort of like when people point out the drastic changes in Selena Gomez's appearance, everyone just blames it on lupus.
Yeah.
And
as we know as fans of the show House, that it's never lupus. Everyone knows that.
It's never lupus, and it's a convenient excuse. But Erin Moriarty did announce in May last year that she was diagnosed with Graves' disease, which does actually change your appearance. And I know that because people have accused me of having Graves' disease because one of the main visible symptoms is having bulging eyes. And that's something that people have used against me before. But she did announce this on her Instagram. She showed these screenshots of text messages that she sent to her mom and her dad. She announced this saying, "If I hadn't chalked it all up to stress and fatigue, I would have caught this sooner. A month ago, I was diagnosed with Graves' disease within 24 hours of beginning treatment. I felt the light coming back on. It's been increasing in strength ever since. If yours is dimming even slightly, get checked. Don't suck it up and transcend suffering. You deserve to be comfy. Shit's hard enough as it is." And apparently the symptoms can include anxiety, weight loss, tremors, fatigue, heart palpitations, and eye problems, including bulging eyes that can lead to like eye dryness. I mean, I do see a difference in how much of her eyelid is visible, but a lot of people these days would accuse her of getting a blepharoplasty because of that. I don't see it.
Also, it is fair to point out that we're looking at an edited set photo from a TV show, which means there's like this photo right here. Any amount of retouching would have been at the behest of, you know, maybe her her agent or something like that. But I don't think that's what you're seeing here. You're just seeing a traditional photo at a red carpet. There's always retouching to something like this, and the first place that may go is over here, in the process of smoothing out lines, adding color. It's going to look different.
Well, sure, but in 2024, when she posted a selfie where she looked dramatically different, people were pointing out that she had visible work done, and she absolutely crashed out on Instagram over these accusations, including at Megyn Kelly for talking about it.
I remember that.
And here's what she said at the time. "We're all subject to levels of bullying throughout our lives, but I am horrified, and I felt that I deserved to take a second to address these things. I had no idea what was going on, to be honest, because I've had one of the most challenging weeks of my life. I specifically thought that as I emerged this period of time, so stressed that I have barely been able to eat and sleep, I thought I'm going to emerge this 10 pounds thinner, and the verbal abuse / accusations will be flying. Usually either drug use or a flippant eat a burger comment. You learn to become Teflon and move on. I had no idea what was going on this time. To receive a message about a disgustingly false, counterproductive, to the degree of being ironically misogynistic video of Megyn Kelly commenting on the manner, to learn the widespread nature of this has left me horrified."
Wait, so
Megyn used a photo taken a year ago, according to her, that had in actuality been taken a decade ago before I was of legal drinking age. As an example, how utterly misinformed, inaccurate, and clickbait-seeking people who we follow and consider to be informed is appalling. I got my makeup done that day, and it involves major contouring, and I remember leaving and feeling pretty. And even that day was an immensely stressful day for me. I came running to those girls and showed up in tears after what had happened that day and left feeling better simply because I felt like they had reduced my lack of sleep and worked their magic. I saw the comments scathing enough just to turn the comments off. But this is becoming harassment. This is becoming false news. I remember this was written in such a dramatic way. And she said, "The only reason I have not deactivated my account is because I will be leaving this here. Otherwise, consider it deactivated. I will not have access to it for an extensive, if not permanent, break. Social media was my ability to connect with fans, to work with, but also mostly share brands I believe in, to share news or updates. But I'm deciding to invest my energy into my work, Social media is not something that came naturally to me, and that was an investment of energy to connect with you guys. But I am horrified by the reaction, reductive assumptions, and the aforementioned video that is a primary example of such harassment. It's broken my heart. You have broken my heart. You've lost the privilege of this account. So you can believe whatever you want.
Oh,
there's no excuse for these horrific allegations, the verbal abuse, and genuine false information that is being used to perpetuate a message that is exhibitionist feminism. You don't have to believe me when I say that these videos are absolutely false, but the way this has been spoken about, the way I have been spoken to, I will not accept. I have been in a hole and have been consumed by this personal situation. You never know what someone is going through. Social media is a platform that is not representative of a whole person, and irregardless, there is no excuse for the words that have been spoken to or about me. Shame on you, Megyn Kelly. Shame on you, Fox News. Implying that my photo is reflective of women being in a worse place is as false as my conviction in saying that if you resigned, you would be leaving women in a better place. Yikes.
That was unbelievably self-aggrandizing. Like to write that much about having your feelings hurt feels self-aggrandizing to me. Maybe I'm crazy.
It's just it's an insult to our intelligence to say that this has nothing to do with getting cosmetic procedures done. Really,
even if it was true, it would be self-aggrandizing and ridiculous. Even like I said, like I take the position that I don't know if it's true or not because I don't know enough about plastic surgery to really have an opinion. I do know that it's unbelievably self-absorbed to write that much because some people don't like you. And she had the right idea in the middle part there. Hand off your account to somebody else. And the other thing was like, she's like, you've lost the privilege. Bro, what?
That was crazy.
You guys in the chat, if you guys in the chat are mean to me, you lose the privilege to talk to me in the live chat while we're on the show.
Right, but
so you better not be mean to me.
She didn't mean what she was saying. She's addicted to the feedback and still is active on Instagram to this day. Her last post being 16 hours ago. Okay. And even this announcement of her Graves diagnosis was just a photo carousel of selfies unrelated to her diagnosis, along with a couple of screenshots of her text messages where she's complaining about how bad she feels. I don't take this person seriously. I don't believe she's being honest. And yeah, even if the things that people were saying about her procedures are false, there's nothing that you can do to help the situation by posting a screed like that just makes you sound absolutely mental.
It was a bit crazy.
Yeah. I mean, she's clearly detached from reality if she thinks that she looks recognizable as her former self.
I do believe, however, that some people, unfortunately, like, and I can't imagine being at her level of recognition. I would never want that. And the idea that that's like a crazy position to be in where you're addicted to the social media, but also the social media is giving you exactly what you don't need or want. That's probably a hellish existence to have.
But they stay in this like cycle of abuse because they can't, escape their own need for validation and feedback, be it positive or negative.
Look, all of you guys making fun of me in the chat right now, you're all getting blocked. You have lost the privilege of talking to me.
You've lost the privilege of this podcast.
It's not fair for you guys to do that to me, so I'm blocking all of you.
Also, I have not watched the show, but Tim does watch the show, and according to him, he's noticed that Erin Moriarty can't deliver her lines properly. He said something about how she can't speak properly anymore. And he's implying that that's a result of, things that she's done to her face, which leave her immobile.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, but
anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true, but I do see plenty of actresses. Lauren Holly is a good example of an actress who it was very clear from the moment she got work done that it got harder and harder for her to deliver lines and show real emotion. So, all right, let's move on. We've got more stuff to get into. This one's just weird.
I'll start by saying I do not understand the hype around Nikki Glaser. She is a female comedian, which I'm already skeptical of just from the jump, but she seems to be getting all of the jobs now. Like, she's just hosting everything. She's supposedly, you know, this hilarious woman, but all she does is joke about sex, honestly. Like, that's what female comedians are already notorious for doing, and she is no exception to that rule. In a most recent example, she did an appearance on the Call Her Daddy podcast, where every woman's dignity goes to die, and shared with Alex Cooper her secret kink. It's not a secret anymore. She finds it very exciting when her boyfriend cheats on her. And I guess she wouldn't consider it cheating because they have an arrangement that they have mutually agreed upon.
She basically says that, look, if he wants to hook up with the girl, that's one thing. But if he was to watch Netflix with her, that's a completely different thing.
There is so much about this that just is like waving so many red flags. First of all, she's telling a story about her first boyfriend who she says helped her discover that this was her fetish. She says she had her first boyfriend when she turned 29, which I think already means that you must be crazy, right? Like, there's something seriously wrong with you if you are 29 in your first relationship ever. And she explains to Alex that this is how she discovered that she gets off on being cucked, essentially. She said, if a guy has a sexual connection with a girl and he was to use protection and just have sex for a night, I literally wouldn't care if my husband did that. By the way, she's not married.
Yeah,
she's just in a relationship with this guy
for a long time.
It's also been over a decade that they have been on and off dating in like countless different breakups. But she continues, in a relationship, I don't really care if my boyfriend were to hook up, but that is not a two-way street. I'm not someone who likes to hook up when I'm in a relationship. I don't really care about that, but I don't care if someone else were to. In fact, I kind of like it. So let's go until
okay, starting from the beginning.
2 minutes and 10 seconds in. We'll cut it there.
Wait, go from 0 to 2 minutes or start at 2 minutes? Go for okay. So
we'll start.
Okay,
and then go to 2 minutes and 10.
Here we go.
You call this the hot husband fetish.
Yes.
Which is essentially when you want your partner to have sexual experiences with other people outside of the relationship.
Yeah.
So when did this start for you, Nikki? Let's go back.
I'm sorry, but before we even get started, like you could just see like Alex Cooper, like she's just like excited about ruining society.
I know, right? Like
that's what it feels like. She's just
that's her job.
She's like, let's ruin it for some people right now. Okay, let's continue.
Yeah. With my boyfriend when I was 29, because I really hadn't had a boyfriend before then. He would tell me about like I would always ask him about like past hookups and girlfriends and how they got together. Like I was like the beginning, like how did you guys first know you liked each other? Like I love that like our legs were touching on our table and neither of us moved our leg or something like stuff like that. I would be like, so like I don't know, it would make me like horny to like think about him doing that with other girls. And then I'd ask about all of his like girlfriends or anyone he had hooked up with, like all the details about it. And I would really be like a foreplay for me. Like I would get like revved up talking about it. And then it reached a point where he was out of stories. Like he had gone through all of them. And I was like, and that it's almost like he was telling the same ones. And I was like, I know this one. So it wasn't as exciting anymore because I was getting the same stuff. So I was like, I know this is, I had never heard of anything like this. I felt so weird, but I was like, I think I need you to like get some more stories.
You need new material, Chris.
Yeah, I was like, I need you to like go out there and just have a flirty moment with someone, like anything where I can feel like, maybe it's my competitive nature of like I want a guy who other girls want. Like I like something that is like, you know, you want a handbag that other girls are like, oh my God, I'm dying to get that.
That's
like,
relatable. That is relatable. Like yeah. I have experienced that like masochism to a certain degree where I'd be like, tell me about every ex. Tell me about all the things. Like that part of the beginning of the relationship.
Were you horned up for it, or were you like, I want to know because I hate
No,
this
it
girl?
definitely like made me be like, okay, now I'm gonna like fuck you 10 times better tonight.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
But then
it's like their value that they are valued by other women because I respect women and women's opinions. I do.
There's just some really, really dumb dude who's gonna bring this to his girlfriend and be like, see? It makes perfect sense.
all comes back to hating men. This whole thing is like men are disgusting and they need to get their boners fixed immediately. And I don't really want to fix your boner, but I love women.
I want my boyfriend to fuck other women because I just love women so much. I'm such a feminist.
Hold on.
Okay, we are stopping right there. That's the most I can do.
Well, no. There's one more comment from Alex.
This is all about. This is not pick me. This is pure feminism. Hold on, though.
Exactly. Thank you for getting to the root of it.
So you then
guys are like, you know what? Maybe feminism's not so bad. Apparently, is that what they're trying to do? Is that the psyop? Is like, they're gonna change a bunch of men's minds about feminism by using this as some example? Are you insane?
So being a female cuck is somehow the ultimate act of feminism, according to Alex Cooper and Nikki Glaser. And actually that exact kind of guy that you were just referencing quote tweeted this and said, I wake up every day furious that I'm not dating Nikki Glaser. Funny, hot, and just a flat out freak. She's a dream come true.
So it is.
That's why this is obviously being called a pick me take.
It is a pick me take.
And the only reason you would say this and actually mean it, well, there are a few different explanations. One is that you don't actually love this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if a woman actually loves you, there's no way that she would be okay with you hooking up with other women.
Correct.
Period. Or the other explanation is that she's just deeply insecure and thinks that she can't do any better than allowing a man to step out on her.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the only two explanations that I can make any sense of this. She obviously is not invested in the relationship. And I also think it's quite telling that she had to twist it into some like weird feminist talking point. Like, oh, because it's like, I'm like, getting opinions from other women about like the man that I'm with because I hate men so much. When like in reality, this is just the wet dream of like literally every perverted, like the worst type of man,
the worst dude you know.
To be in a relationship with.
Yeah. This is so in the show House. Since we mentioned House earlier, I'll bring it up again. There's an episode where they treat a couple in an open marriage. And from the beginning, House is like, something's wrong because the woman is having multiple relationships and the guy is just okay with it, but he is not. And he's like, the only reason that is possible is if he's screwed up in some other way. And of course he ends up being right. Like the guy's like lost his job and didn't tell his wife and isn't like, he's like paying the bills with credit cards. So basically his guilt is like allowing her to do this. And in the episode, Taub, who is a philandering cheat, says like he's going to ask his wife for an open marriage. And he does. And she says yes. And then like rescinds it. And then at the very end, like he sees how upset she is because she like said yes, but clearly didn't want to, that he like walks it back and says, okay, we won't. And then he cheats anyways because he's a bad person.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
and in the second part of this clip, she explains that somehow she still thinks this is like ethical because of the way that they laid the ground rules for their arrangement. Somehow it's still a feminist act because she claims that they are putting everything out on the table, like they're not hiding this from these other women. In reality, you are actually like using other women and playing with their emotions unbeknownst to them for your own sexual proclivities. That's like obviously not a way of, you know, having solidarity with other women because they don't know that they're being roped into your weird psycho relationship.
It's also just cope. It's just cope. It's a cope answer that she could go on a podcast with barstool dudes and give a totally different answer that appeals to a barstool audience. It's just a cope intellectualized answer that isn't real.
She claims that her boyfriend is required to explain their arrangement to other women and he has to refrain from kissing other women. But the way that she explained it in the clip definitely sounded like he's just flirting with other women without telling them that he is in a relationship beforehand, because otherwise they wouldn't be interested in him, and they're using people unwittingly for their own weird kink. She said, there have been some interesting things that were fun for me to hear and experience, and fun for him too. It's just what I'm into. But she draws the line at emotional connection.
Yeah.
She says she could not tolerate being emotionally cheated on, which to her it means if a guy has a sexual connection, that's different. She said that I don't know why, if he were to watch The Wire with her or do crossword puzzles or send memes and stuff, I'd be like, what the F are you doing? That's our thing. Emotional cheating would hurt me.
Well, I mean, isn't this just a result of 50 or more years of feminism trying to kind of decouple emotional intimacy from the physical act? This is like the final boss of that whole movement.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe she's just one of those weird people who genuinely doesn't attach any emotion to sex, but that's highly unlikely. I believe like that's like Bonnie Blue and maybe like 7 other women on the planet. And
I mean, no, like the ones who work in that industry, maybe, but again, like as has been said over the years, that like that's a result of a whole lot of other manifestations of your own past, or perhaps you're just wired weird, but it's the exception and not the rule. But the problem is they want, like I said with predictive programming earlier, they want to create that as a norm. And interviews like this only try to reinforce something that everybody with a rational working brain understands is not normal.
So she's 41 and
she looks like Tate McRae's mom.
An over decade long situationship with this guy that she met when she was doing her MTV show. She explained in a Howard Stern interview that they have been in this long, drawn out, on and off relationship because she's just terrible at committing to anything forever. Forever just makes me think of no other adventures. It's just kind of admitting defeat. And that's why they have gotten back together and broken up maybe 5+ times in 10 years. She says our breakups have gone from maybe 2 days to another break was 3 years long.
My hope is that like her friends are paid handsomely for having to listen to her whine about her relationship problems. I hope she's so detached that she doesn't burden her friends with like, imagine by breakup number 3, you're her best friend who has to hear about the breakup.
It's just like, I don't think that any man would take it as a compliment that you don't want to be with him forever.
Yeah.
If he has his head on straight. Like she obviously doesn't like or love this guy. Maybe she likes him for his company. Like they just sound like friends.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that matters to her about their relationship is that they like watch TV together. Like she doesn't care about anything else.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is someone to pass the time with until I eventually end up like Chelsea Handler.
Yeah. How old is Chelsea Handler now?
Type.
Is Chelsea Handler in her 50s?
Let me check.
She's got to be about a decade older than Nikki Glaser.
Yeah, she's a decade older. Chelsea Handler is 51.
I mean, that's like the ghost of Christmas future for her.
Exactly. Which like should be a warning sign. Like that should be a wake up call for you that you're Chelsea Handler 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You still have time to fix this.
Yep.
Like it's not too late for you.
Yep.
I
Settle down,
mean,
commit to somebody, and stop being weird.
These people are just mentally ill, and I don't think normal women think this way. I don't think this reflects how most women feel.
Well, I said that's the problem.
Especially if they're in love.
That's the problem, is that you have billions of dollars flooding into these industries to try to make normal women think that this is normal when it is not.
Yeah, exactly. And they like listen to this podcast. This is, again, the most popular podcast for women, which is terrifying. And it conditions how they, interact in relationships and how they view themselves. Like, this is being presented as how a woman should feel if she's not insecure, which is insane. Like, I don't even know how do you get to this point? Like, is it trauma? Are you just like born with your brain like missing something?
I think both of those are viable options, but not always at the same time. Like
I don't even know.
Either a combination of the two, or some people are just that way. Like, that was always the argument I tried to make whenever we would have those discussions about people that work in these industries, where it's like, some people are just born weird. Like, it's not always that they had a hyper religious conservative family that they needed to rebel from. It's not always that they were abused. Some people are just weird, and there's enough money to be made in being weird that there's no wonder that they come out of the woodwork, and you see this happen. Like,
right.
It is more mainstream now because it's so easy to monetize something like that if you are like that. And that's on top of the fact that those people were likely born, you know, if there's somebody my age, who she's closer to my age, they were born at a time when that was not the norm. Right? So It's only going to become more prevalent with increasing generations.
And there is this red pill adjacent talking point that claims that women are naturally polygynous. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but basically they are more satisfied in relationships where they have to be exclusive to a man, but the man doesn't have to be exclusive to them. That's obviously not true, because the vast majority of women want to murder their boyfriend / husband if he so much as looks at another woman for too long. Like, that is how most women feel if they actually like the guy.
Well, it's like that's a
normal way to react.
One of the weirdest things that I always thought was like when like if a guy cheats on you or a girl cheats on you and then you're mad. I guess it's more common when like if a dude is a cheater and then the girl gets mad at the girl and she somehow doesn't get mad at the dude, and you're like first,
right.
you know, irrespective as to whether like the girl knew or whatever, like she might be the bad guy 50% of the time based on whether she knew or not. He's the bad guy 110% of the time and should be held accountable. Sure. Yet there is a weird subset of people that don't.
Either way, we know that the vast majority of women feel intense distress. They feel intense emotional distress at the idea of being cheated on.
Yeah.
Or even like any shade of disloyalty that precedes cheating. So it just makes zero sense when people make that argument that like women would rather be with a Chad who's not exclusive to them.
That's just that's
not true.
That's the male think piece argument that's like across the aisle from whatever the this shit we just watched was. Like, that's just the guy's version of this, which is weird. So, all right, let's move on. What would you like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
Let's see the cringe first.
Okay. How does it rate compared to Olivia's cringe yesterday? Is it higher or lower on the scale? Because Olivia's cringe yesterday was... I tweeted this morning because Olivia clipped it and posted it because of my horrid reaction. And I said I died 1,000 deaths in 2 minutes. Like, you can no longer harm me.
This is definitely not as bad as yesterday's cringe, but it depends on who you are. So what you're looking at is a video from like the Big 26 of a bunch of Gen Z teenagers pretending to be MySpace kids.
Oh my God.
And like, I don't even know if this is like endearing or cringe or both.
Okay.
Isn't this insane?
Oh my God.
They're pretending to be at Warped Tour.
It's kind of like a time capsule. I mean, the pink hair, there's too much pink hair for it to be the MySpace era.
Right?
Like, there would have been
something off about it.
It would have been black hair with maybe a devil's lock swoop in a different color, but it wouldn't have been all one color.
Right. And they're like doing this weird cartoonish like mimicry of emo and scene kids from like 20 years ago.
I mean, there's a way
was just off about it.
there's a way we can prove them wrong right now. We can go ask some of them to do some HTML. If they can't do some HTML,
No, they can't.
then they're not true scene kids from the early 2000s when they had to do the stuff on their own, on their MySpace timeline.
Like, there's something cringy about it, but it's also kind of cute because they don't know how to act at any gathering of human beings in real life. Like, he's literally telling them how to act at a concert.
And their upper bodies are moving, but
they're
only at the hips. Yeah. Skinny jean sales are about to explode again.
Nervously looking down at their phones because they're not sure what else to do.
How can I make this more MySpace, they say.
This is what this is hyper real Warped Tour. That's what you're looking at. It's hyper reality is usually explained with the strawberry analogy, where you go from a real strawberry to a GMO strawberry to strawberry syrup to strawberry candy. That's rough. The evolution that has taken place here.
All right, let's do cute of the day. First here from the Kevin Crater Show. I meant to show this one earlier. It's a fantastic photo of a puppy in motion.
Very cute.
He looks like you have just called him over to you, and he is eagerly trying to make his way over to you. I appreciate that photo.
He almost looks like he just has 2 legs.
A little bit, but he's a good boy.
Very cute.
Let's do one more. This one's from Dusty Oracle. This is Wiggles. She knows this is your chair, but she doesn't want to move. It's so warm and comfy here.
It's Wiggles' chair now.
Yep, Wiggles owns the chair now. All right, let's go ahead and get started.
So we've talked about a lot of the worrying side effects of Ozempic. There are a lot of terms for it. There's Ozempic feet, Ozempic mouth, even Ozempic ass. And the side effect that is the most worrying, I think, is the possible uptick of divorces that follow rapid weight loss from GLP-1 drugs. Now, The Spectator reported on this in a way that I feel is highly dishonest or inaccurate. They claim new research shows that people on fat jabs are twice as likely to end their marriages. What's going on?
Yes, it was very disingenuous here.
That is not an accurate reporting of the facts. The community note here says the research showing doubled divorce risk after rapid weight loss is examining bariatric surgery patients, not Ozempic or other GLP-1 drugs such as fat jabs.
So is the idea just that they believe that if the stats hold true for somebody who had their stomach stapled, then the stats will also hold true for somebody who got the fat jabs?
Yeah, it's still too early to tell. There isn't data over a long period of time to tell if the same trend is going to take place, but these stats are based on people who've had gastric bypass, where your stomach gets stapled into a smaller size. So the basic idea here is you're fat and you're in a relationship with someone who you think is in your league because you're fat. Then you lose all of that extra weight and you think that you could do better. The grass is greener on the other side, and you dump the person you were with to go find something better. Yeah. And that's an oversimplification, but the gist of it is true. So this is based on new research from academics in Sweden. The growing popularity of fat jabs is expected to increase divorce rates as slimmed down partners look for new love, according to health experts. According to research from Sweden, people who undergo rapid weight loss are twice as likely to divorce. Although the study focused on people who had been fitted with gastric bands known as bariatric surgery, the rise of weight loss drugs will trigger an even larger divorce trend in the future, according to researchers. Around 1.6 million Brits used slimming drugs, known medically as semaglutide, and Manjaro and Wegovy are among the most popular. Professor Per-Arne Svensson at the University of Gothenburg, who conducted the research, said that divorce rates from fat jabs will soar in the future. Very similar mechanisms could occur with Ozempic as with surgery with regards to changes in relationships. Within the newest weight loss drugs, Mounjaro, for instance, we would have weight losses that are not as big as with bariatric surgery, but are significant enough. I still believe these mechanisms could occur. What we see, for instance, in divorces is that it occurs after a couple years from starting your treatment. So basically, the weight loss with these GLP-1s, especially Mounjaro and Wegovy, is going to be slower than after getting a bariatric surgery. So it might take a longer time to get the numbers. But his research found that gastric band patients were almost 50% more likely to get divorced within 6 years of the procedure. According to his study, 12,500 married patients, 14% divorced during this period of 6 years, compared with 8% among the wider population. The research suggests the chance of divorce is significantly higher among patients who have experienced rapid weight loss, but they have a theory that these people were in unhealthy relationships to begin with.
Yeah,
And
they're
the
saying
person that they were with wasn't willing to follow them on their wellness journey, so they grew apart naturally.
so of course, dump him, sis.
Right, that's the ultimate conclusion, is dump him, sis. And a recent study from University of Pittsburgh found that gastric band patients were more than twice as likely to divorce. They say 2/3 of people in England are overweight or obese, with the latter making up 30%. It was announced that weight loss jabs like Wegovy will be given to 1.2 million people on NHS to stop heart attacks and strokes. Those studies found that patients who were single at the time of treatment were much more likely to get married in subsequent years than their peers. And on divorces, Svensson said there could be many mechanisms behind why these separations occur. People who embark on the weight loss journey usually have a lot of other life changes as well. That means they're probably becoming more social, trying to live a healthier life. If the partner is not really on the train there, if they don't follow this person along in this change, that might be something that causes tension. It could also be that you have a person who's stuck in a bad relationship but doesn't have the self-confidence to break it off because they feel, well, who would like to date them if not their current spouse? We have shown higher divorce rates for bariatric surgery, but that could also be true for Ozempic-based weight loss. So they just needed that extra boost of confidence to walk away from a relationship that was already doomed to fail. According to him.
There was an episode of the show Rizzoli and Isles where a husband is married to a larger woman, right?
Okay.
He's a dentist. He's married to a larger woman, and she goes and gets in really good shape. Of course, not by semaglutides, because this was back in the early 2010s. And he liked her the way she was. And eventually he gets so irrationally jealous of like the personal trainer that he finds this overly complicated way to like take out his own wife, and basically said, I liked her the way she was. I didn't like that she was getting all this attention. I didn't like, and he's like, it's like she never knew how to handle the attention because she was always big. So this has been going on for ages now. Now it's just going to happen at a more rapid pace. Apparently, the ladies are going to have to watch out for the men they're married to, lest they end up doing something rash.
Yeah, there is a seed of truth in that. And everyone knows the concept of a revenge body. You know, you have a breakup and then hit the gym super hard and transform your physique to, in a way, feel like you're getting back at the person who dumped you.
Which is
but
always
this
weird.
is kind of like taking your revenge bod before the breakup.
It's so weird too, because it's always like I'm just showing him what he missed. Like, well, he didn't miss it. He had it. You just didn't have it at the time. What are you talking about? You weirdo.
One of the responses said a personal trainer said every client he managed to actually get into really good shape left their current relationship, men and women. But in these stats, you should keep in mind, apparently 4 in 5 Ozempic patients are female.
That doesn't shock me at all. Also, look, I don't have those numbers, but I would bet that the women who lost, maybe this is my own bias, but the women that lost weight left the relationships at a greater frequency than the men who lost weight.
Yeah. So not only are most of the GLP-1 patients female, also the initiators of divorce the vast majority of the time are female.
I'm shocked.
You just have like a perfect storm here for a spike in divorces. And still, they try to give it a spin that's not as dark sounding. They say it's not that losing a large amount of weight is ending healthy marriages. It's probably more that for the person losing weight and feeling better about themselves, it's empowering them to leave the already unhealthy relationship. And there will probably be a subset of people who, as they're feeling better about themselves, find that it becomes a motivational catalyst to move on from what would otherwise be an unhealthy relationship. And that's a very flattering way of putting it.
I was going to say, okay, so depending on my mood on any given day, I might be willing to like entertain that idea and say that there is probably a subset of people, right, who are in a relationship and for a multitude of reasons, right? Maybe it's not always just physical. You can be thin and still have self-esteem issues, right? So look, there is a rational enough through line in that explanation that I could buy it for some cases. But the fact of the matter is that we have now degraded the idea of what constitutes a bad relationship so far that like outside of delving into it on a case by case basis and deep diving into the personal and private lives of whoever has gone through something like this, whatever your belief was before you heard this story is going to hold, and it's not going to change anyone's mind. A guy who is naturally suspicious of the girl's motives is already going to say that she left him because she lost weight, and a girl who believes that, you know, the guy was just holding her back is going to believe that the guy was probably mistreating her and she did the right thing for herself. This will change nobody's mind.
Right, exactly. Well, maybe the ultimate solution should be, you know, going on Ozempic as a couple, as a bonding experience where you
jab each other, like cross your arms like this, like, you know, like when people drink the champagne and they like interlock their arms. Interlock your arms with your fat ass spouse and jab each other so you can lose weight together.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a better way to get hotter together instead of just one person leveling up.
I mean, I would say that, like, have you ever seen those, like, photos of, like, the couples that go to the gym together and then, like, 6 months later, one of them looks totally different and they're like, did the other one stop at the parking lot?
Yeah.
We got a $20 super chat here from Cesar JPN. Cesaro JPN says, on Alpine Divorce a couple days ago, Brett commented to Hawaii 5-0, did happen recently in HI. Is HI Hawaii? I thought Hawaii was HA. I don't know. A doctor was recently found guilty of attempted manslaughter for trying to bash the head of his wife on a hiking trail on Oahu. So it did happen in Florida. In Hawaii. So that's crazy. Maybe they watched that episode of Hawaii 5-0 and this evil dude got an idea that...
But that was only a conviction for attempted manslaughter? That sounds like attempted homicide to me.
Yeah, right? Like, what makes it
accidentally bash someone's head in with a rock.
He's like, look, I was just trying to knock her out. I wasn't trying to kill her.
That's weird. Okay. I think I should mention the reason we put Amy Schumer in the thumbnail today is because she's the most obvious celebrity example of an Ozempic divorce. So she originally started on Ozempic back in 2022, and she said that she had terrible side effects from it, felt like she was wasting away. Then she switched over to Mounjaro, which she is still taking to this day, to public knowledge. And she announced her split from her husband only in December of 2025. They have now officially filed for divorce back in January of this year. So she's posting all of these photos of her new skinny body, and she's really feeling herself. She's gotten that Ozempic confidence boost and feels like she can do better than her husband now.
That's crazy, because if they realized how much the confidence boost would exist if they lost the weight on their own, it would be like twice as much and it would last for twice as long.
Yeah, that is a sad thing.
I bet you there's a feeling of imposter syndrome that burrows deep into your brain.
Definitely. I bet.
Like,
that's
unless
true.
look, there are people. I think we've had people send super chats who said that they were put on Ozempic and they do it with. It's combined with a very rigid exercise plan. That means that they also have to put in the work physically. Like, you need to do both. If you're gonna take it, it feels like you need to do both because it's gonna be bad for your bones anyways. It feels like.
Well, yeah, you need to change your lifestyle so that you don't have to be dependent on it forever.
Exactly.
Much like when people get gastric bypass surgeries, it doesn't always last. They get fast results that don't always last because it doesn't require you to change your habits that changes the shape of your neural pathways. Like, that's more important than anything. But the Spectator, in their reporting on this research, put forward this theory that women, although they've been lying to themselves and others for decades about changing their appearances and becoming more attractive for themselves, only with the introduction of Ozempic and similar GLP-1 drugs is that finally true, where they really are changing their appearance just for themselves. Because oftentimes, if they're already married when they start the drug, obviously this person married you the way that you were before. And a lot of women have noticed their husbands don't like the results of their weight loss, but they don't care.
So in the article, she basically says her husband one day was like, "Where did your butt go?" And she's like, "I don't care."
Yeah, and I'm gonna keep going. Seemingly, they're not headed towards a divorce, but she said this. I think this time women are telling the truth and doing the fat jab for themselves because the new you promised falsely so many times before, primarily by cosmetic companies, claiming that they can turn back time, has finally come true via the miracle of real science. You only got to see the likes of Oprah and Lizzo, who built their brands on body positivity, casting their previous endorsements to the wind and totally going for it with the jabs. They don't care about being called traitors. They have belatedly discovered the old Kate Moss line, "Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels." So to hell with what anyone else thinks of how they look or why they look that way. It's truly just for their own satisfaction that they're doing this.
That's sad.
I think it's pretty obvious that this is the case with Amy Schumer. I don't know about any other examples in the Hollywood sphere of this happening, but the amount of post-divorce selfies that we're seeing from Amy Schumer looking quite scantily clad, I think tell the story.
Well, she's making up for all those years she couldn't post stuff like that. She's playing catch up.
She never wanted to be the fat, funny chick. She just wanted to be a hot chick. And now she finally gets to have that dream.
All right, let's move on. We've got more stuff to get into.
In typical Netflix fashion, they are taking an original story and ruining it. This time it's Cinderella. And that's because the Cinderella fairy tale is in the public domain, that they can do this. They can't take from the Disney imagined version of it, but they can use the fairy tale and twist it into a modern story where the villain, or in this case, the stepsisters, are merely misunderstood, and you're going to see it from their perspective. So it's called Steps. It's an animated movie, and this was the first image that they released back in December last year. It's a new film that follows Cinderella's evil stepsisters, who are actually depicted as kind and misunderstood. Now, the first problem just on its face is that the voice actresses for the stepsisters are Ali Wong and Stephanie Su, and they are Asian voice actresses. So they thought, Hollywood has done this a number of times where they feel the need to match an animated character to the real life voice actor or voice actress because of them being so narcissistic that they can't just play the character. They're not like playing this character on screen, but they still need the animated character to look like them.
Correct.
So they made the stepsisters Asian in this animated movie simply because the voice actresses are. And then we have the big reveal that Cinderella, being their stepsister, not their blood-related sister in the movie, is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white girl. And we have more information from a press release that Netflix posted the other day. Amanda Seyfried is going to be the voice actor for Cinderella in this movie, a twisted take on a classic tale. When evil stepsister Lilith steals the fairy godmother's wand and accidentally wrecks Cinderella's happily ever after, the two have to team up to save the kingdom and maybe become real sisters along the way. So, they're just misunderstood. That's what is being portrayed in pretty much every story directed at an audience of children now, is that there's no such thing as good guys or bad guys. There's no such thing as objective morality. The bad guys always have a sympathetic backstory, a sob story that explains their evil doing, and forget like the Cruella de Vil archetype of the past, where there is just a character that completely embodies evil and imparts moral lessons to children through that black and white storytelling. Everything has to be morally gray and nuanced because we have turned morality on its face. And to make matters worse, this is not the only stepsisters Cinderella story that is being told right now. Disney is actually working on their own live action Cinderella spinoff that is also focused on Cinderella's evil stepsisters in a similar fashion. And it's going to be called Cinderella, but it's actually about the stepsisters. They say that basically the stepsisters in this version of the story are coming out from under the shadow of Cinderella, and they're going to be portrayed in a new light in this version of the story.
There's actually, okay, so here's the thing. I never saw the movie, but there was an Akira Kurosawa movie in 1950 called Rashomon, which explores the idea of like subjective reality by telling a story from like the same story from three different perspectives, right? Lots of television shows that I've loved over the years have done similar types of stories. Leverage famously did an episode like this where you go through a like a museum robbery, and you see all the characters realize that they were all there on the same night, but they didn't realize it until years later. So you see it from all their perspectives, and everything is like slightly different. The X-Files did an episode like this as well. There might be something interesting about the idea of telling the classic Cinderella story from her perspective, and then maybe layering in the perspective of the stepsisters being different. It would still require you to do exactly what we're talking about here, which is to say that, oh, they were just misunderstood. But at the very least, that sounds mildly more interesting than refusing to acknowledge that Cinderella's perspective might also be accurate. It still would be stupid because it would make reality subjective in a way that we wouldn't like, because it would change the morality of the characters. But it's at least mildly more interesting than what I'm seeing here.
I mean, I think people are forgetting just how brutal the Disney animated Cinderella was back when that came out. Like, the stepsisters, first of all, are visibly ugly, and Cinderella is gorgeous. They're jealous of her beauty, but more importantly, they use the outer appearances of these characters to communicate their inner lives. So Cinderella is beautiful in the story, and that is used to communicate that she is an innocent soul, that she is a virtuous woman. And her stepsisters are visibly ugly on the outside, which communicates to the children watching that they are ugly also on the inside.
Can't do
and
that
that
anymore
they're
either.
Morally bankrupt.
Can't do that anymore either, because if you show somebody who is both villainous on the inside and ugly on the outside, they pretend as if that means you're making a moral judgment on all who might be ugly. Look,
Right, exactly.
I'm ugly. I'm not evil. I would like to think that I am a moral positive for society, okay? So don't give me any of that. You can show evil stepsisters be ugly. That's fine.
Well, they also like aren't ugly in this version.
No, well, I
Like,
mean, that's the point, right? Is like they're
that's a
walking
weird
that
way
part
that
back.
they twisted it around.
Honestly,
as
it would have
well.
been kind of funny if they made them ugly and made them the good guys.
Yeah, exactly. This was something that I brought up a few months ago, I think, on the show, but it reminded me of this quote from Russell Crowe discussing Gladiator. And he said that he didn't like the sequel because it lacked the moral core that the first movie had. He said it's a really unfortunate example of even the people in that engine room not understanding what made the first one special. It wasn't the pomp and circumstance. It wasn't the action. It was the moral core of the original movie. And he was committed to preserving that in the making of the original, saying there was a daily fight on the set. It was a daily fight to keep the moral core of my character. The amount of times they suggested sex scenes and stuff like that for Maximus, it's like you're taking away his power. It's like a Samson-esque story. So you're saying at the same time he had this relationship with his wife, he was effing this other girl. What are you talking about? It's crazy.
Yeah.
And, you know, ordinarily we would roll our eyes at the idea of an actor trying to commandeer the script and take over, you know, directing powers in a project, but he was totally justified in doing so because of what we saw in the end product. And he is bringing up a problem that takes place in both, you know, content that is made for an audience of kids and adults, because we're all being treated like, you know, moral idiots.
Yes,
now.
and remember, so I saw some comments. It might have been on Rumble where said like it's a kid's story for F's sake. That's the worst part of it. The worst part of it is they're adding moral ambiguity to a children's story that should tell a very clear through line.
Exactly. And, you know, there is room for more nuance in stories that are, you know, catering to an adult audience for sure. But
Even then, these days, I don't necessarily want like a morally like, okay, there were
most
times.
of the time, I think when Hollywood attempts nuance, they just throw the baby out with the bathwater and like nothing makes sense. Truth doesn't matter.
Like if I'm talking Tom Clancy adaptations where it's not necessarily even a Bond villain-esque. It's like your enemy is like the Islamic State or your enemy is the Irish Republican Army and they have their own motivations that are connected to geopolitics that at the very least, if you don't agree with them because of your own nationalism, which makes perfect sense, you should be self-interested in seeing your own country succeed. You understand where they're coming from because they are a product of the environment around them. That is one thing. Fairy tales are a vastly different storytelling medium and don't benefit from that same type of moral ambiguity.
Right. I mean, just look at the failure of the Emma Stone Cruella live action movie. That was attempting to do the exact same thing where we take this villain and we give her a sob story that makes literally no sense. In the movie, they created this totally made up part of her backstory where she is somehow like tricked into believing that a Dalmatian murdered her parents or something.
Like imagine having to like be was that Emma Stone?
Yeah.
She's like, wow, that's so powerful. How much am I getting paid again?
Like it obviously doesn't matter to her. It's just a job. But like the movie sucked. It also flopped at the box office and the story was bad.
I think that was a COVID movie, right? If it's a COVID movie,
it was around that time.
It gets a pass if it's a COVID movie.
I highly doubt it would have been a massive hit outside of that context, though.
Yeah. Just
because of how utterly stupid it was. Like, in order to make you sympathize with this villain who, in the original, is just an unambiguous embodiment of evil itself, we're gonna, you know, like shoehorn in this weird scenario where like she thinks that a Dalmatian brutally mauled her parents to death. Like, I will never understand like how much coke did you have to snort to convince yourself that made any sense.
And normally I am pro writers and producers snorting cocaine on the table at work because I think it makes for more creativity. But in this case, it did nothing to help them.
And since you brought up the medium of storytelling in fairy tales being distinct and they should respect that, it's because it does impart moral lessons to children. And like, I think that kind of flies in the face of a lot of talking points that are that you hear from like maybe like anti-woke people, because we'll get into this in a second actually with Project Hail Mary. There is a popular sentiment that you should merely be entertained by stories and they shouldn't have any sort of moral lesson or lecture, or they shouldn't preach at you or whatever. I mean, fairy tales do impart moral lessons. Like, that is important and effective and captivating. And we've somehow completely lost the ability to tell stories that way. Mm-hmm. It helps children identify evil in order to resist it, and also to imitate the virtuous characters. That has been completely siphoned from the story. It's totally empty now.
Yeah, I was never one for the maybe it's just because I'm a simpleton, but I was never one for the necessarily morally gray story, outside of maybe television, where I enjoyed it a little bit more because there's more time to flesh the characters out in a lot of ways. But usually what ends up being their justification ends up being a poor explanation, and right. I don't care. It's kind of like an offshoot of the spin-off-itis, which is like, not every character needs to have a story worthy of telling outside of maybe being a secondary viewpoint for a more interesting or heroic character. Like, I don't always need the secondary characters to have their own story, because oftentimes the actor in the secondary role is fantastic and benefits greatly from being a secondary character, doesn't necessarily make lead actor material. And secondary story from a villain standpoint, just because they're great as a villain doesn't mean that they would do good in what is supposed to be ostensibly a gray area protagonist role, which is what that type of story is. Like, you're not going to make the evil stepsisters protagonists. If you do, it's going to be at the expense of Cinderella. At least I assume that that's what it is.
Also, I want to add that inexplicably evil, villainous characters are actually more realistic than the contrived, nuanced, morally gray characters.
By the way,
because in real life, when people hurt you, you do not understand why they're hurting you. Like, in real life, when people do bad shit, it defies reason, because evil is not reasonable.
Also,
it's actually more realistic to portray a villain being an evildoer, seemingly just for the sake of evil.
By the way, they will still do morally black evil characters. They're just all supposed to be Elon Musk now.
Well, yeah.
Elon Musk. So.
As long as he's rich and a white man.
Yep. As long as he's a billionaire.
Then you can make him the unambiguous villain. Otherwise, no.
Correct. All right, let's move on. We've got more to get into.
So I watched Project Hail Mary a few weeks ago. I did enjoy it. It was pretty good. I won't say that it was like a legendary generational hit. And I do think that it's getting overhyped, especially people are overselling its box office performance online right now because they have so much faith in the story. It's good to see an original story performing well at the box office, but it's not reaching like $1 billion box office status. At this point, it's grossed over $400 million worldwide and projected to finish at between $620 to $700 million. But keep in mind, that's on a production budget of 190 million.
Well, it's so the number on the numbers, which is where I go to get it lists the production budget at $200 million. So we will round up to the $200 million mark. It's at $432 million worldwide, which means that, remember, they keep half of that box office take and even less from the international numbers, though it is outpacing domestically by a scotch, just a little bit. But it would need to, if theoretically it needs to make 2.5 times its budget, we're looking at about $500 million that it needs to make. Now, we are not including the marketing budget here because I've kind of made this decision retroactively for myself, which is like, we don't ever look at the pay VOD sales and the other ways that you can make money off these movies. There are other ways to monetize. They sell the streaming rights so that it can be shown on other streaming services. Movies don't end up failing just because they don't make all their money at the box office. But if we're going purely off budget alone, because we don't have a reported number, the general number you would get is that your marketing budget is 1.5 times its budget. So you'd be looking at about $100 million on marketing. So we'll leave that off there. It's about $70 million away from breaking even right now, roughly.
That's a huge risk to take on something that has a production budget this steep, though. And it's unfortunate because we're constantly bemoaning the fact that there aren't enough original stories in theatrical releases. This is one of them, although granted it's based on a book. It still is one that no one was familiar with before.
It's almost like as long as it's not a comic book movie or a video game movie, we'll give it a pass as being original, even if it's not necessarily original. I'm fine with that. That's perfectly
clearly
reasonable.
It's not Ryan Gosling that is the draw. There are a lot of things that are cool about the story. I like that it is appropriate for all ages. Mm-hmm. You really don't see a lot of content like that, where it's something that a whole family can go to see and it's appropriate for all ages, but it's not mind-numbing for adults. Mm-hmm. And I like that they used a lot of practical effects. People are really impressed with what they did without the help of CGI. And honestly, it just was an enjoyable movie to watch, which is shocking for its length. It's like 2.5 hours long, and I didn't get like totally sick of it by the end. Yeah. Even just that is like, that's how low my bar is now, and I was very pleasantly surprised with it. But right now, people are circulating a quote from the writer of Project Hail Mary, Andy Weir. And he was discussing how he refuses to insert social commentary into his writing. He said, "I dislike social commentary, like I really hate it. When I'm reading a book, I just want to be entertained, not preached at by the author. Plus, it ruins the wonder of the story if I know the author has a political or social axe to grind. I no longer speculate about all possible outcomes of the story because I know for a fact that the universe of that book will conspire to ensure that the author's political agenda is validated. I hate that. I put no politics or social commentary into my stories at all. Anyone who thinks they see something like that is reading it in on their own. I have no point to make, and I'm not trying to affect the reader's opinion on anything. My sole job is to entertain, and I stick to that. To that end, I also don't talk about my personal political opinions publicly. I don't want readers to even know, honestly. I don't want that in the back of their minds as they read my stuff."
So let's, before we...
So obviously he's alt-right.
No, the funniest version of this, the absolute funniest version of this, is if this dude is a dyed-in-the-wool communist who's just also somehow also the world's greatest capitalist. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I kind of love it, but at the same time, I think the best part of it is like you can make a reasonable guess about some of his beliefs just by having the belief that he shouldn't push his beliefs on you.
Well,
theoretically.
The reason why that imagined scenario of Andy Weir being a communist is so funny is because it would never happen.
Of course not.
A communist would never be able to create a story from scratch without making it into communist propaganda. That is just an impossibility.
Also, it is true that a lot of times, so I have this podcast that I love. It's called The Stevie Richards Show. He's an ex-pro wrestler, and he's got a co-host from the UK. And I love the fact that the co-host, who runs a whole network of podcasts in the wrestling space, is like, we don't talk about politics on here. And if we have to, because it does come up, because WWE is closely affiliated with the Trump administration, he's like, we go out of our way to make sure that you don't leave any video that we do with any type of inclination as to what we believe. But that's really hard to do on a commentary channel. It's theoretically a lot easier to do for something like this. But the problem is, any type of creative storytelling, especially if it's done well, leaves itself open to the idea of basically becoming, as I always say, a Rorschach test for the audience. How deep down the rabbit hole do you want to go to try and put something on the author that's not necessarily there? Do you know how many times I've read insane stories about how there is gender commentary related to the dog fights in Star Wars and stuff like that, where it's standing in for sexual assault? I'm not kidding you. An insane enough far leftist can find social commentary anywhere if they want to. And an insane enough right-wing person can find far-left commentary anywhere if they want to.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, the Rorschach test thing, I was talking to some people who had also seen Project Hail Mary recently, who believe that it has references to Catholicism.
Okay.
And it had not even occurred to me what they were saying. So hear me out on this. Ryan Gosling's character in the movie is Ryland Grace, but he goes by Grace. He's in a ship that's called the Hail Mary. So it is literally Hail Mary full of grace. And the entire through line of the whole story is that basically it's miracle after miracle after miracle taking place that make his mission possible and save humanity. So I mean, my mind didn't go there for some reason because I need everything explained to me.
But Hail Mary is a term that transcends Catholicism now because of football and the idea of it being a last-ditch effort.
Obviously, that's true. And I didn't immediately conclude that it was a reference to Catholicism because of that. But when they mentioned his name being Grace in the movie, I was like, oh, okay. Maybe there's something to this. But seemingly, if that's true, Andy Weir would never elaborate on it anyway, which I find refreshing. And I did see an exchange below this tweet that, I don't know, got my gears turning. So it started with this reply from a notorious Amber Heard Stan account who said, "It's impossible to create art that says nothing." So now she's claiming that Project Hail Mary isn't real art if it's not political. And they reply, "Is that what he said?" And she said, "All art is political, babe." And then he replies with an example of this painting, which is it's a basket of fruit. And he said, "Are you sure?" And he's saying, what's so political about this? And then somebody tries to disprove the claim that this is an apolitical piece of art, because according to the Wikipedia page for this specific piece, the claim here is that it's themed after social decay. It's a metaphor for the church, and it is also used on currency. They say art goes beyond what creators make of it. So now I'm like, I don't know what to make of this. Maybe it is political. Maybe because we're all, part of a polity, we're all political subjects, there is no way for us to create art that is purely entertainment. There is no way to, I'm sorry, the only way to win is to not play. What do you mean by that? You don't engage with these discussions with them. You take the art for what it is. You believe what you want to believe.
and then you go on about your day. You're never. These are arguments that are destined to never end. They will go on forever. If somebody wants to tell me about the inherent misogyny of dogs playing poker, I'm not interested. I don't care. And to my point, there are thousands of studies like this. Reifying a new heroine, interrogating the curriculum of femininity in Star Wars films. I do not care. I don't want to know. I don't care who is right. If there's there are shows that I watch that have tons of woke stuff in it, and I don't care because I'm entertained. I'm not going to sit there and argue with them and say that it's not there, or somehow this type of wokeness is acceptable because it doesn't offend me or upset me. Like, just whatever. Like whatever you're going to like. Dislike whatever you're going to dislike. The funny thing about it is whatever this person is saying goes against Andy Weir's philosophy anyways. So if you want an argument to get out of the argument you're currently in, you just say, I'm going to take his word for it. And then you move on about your day.
Well, I don't know. I don't think there's anything intrinsically wrong with art having political themes, and there are plenty of examples of that done right.
Well, that's just the response of like a culture that it's been so far left for so long that the argument became, we want art with no politics, when really what they meant was like, I would prefer art with politics that at least shares some of my values.
Well, I mean, maybe it's just a preference for, art that isn't communist. Like, that's all that should have been meant by it. But now it's like we've reverted to this other extreme end of the spectrum where people are saying, no, there should be literally never any reference to anything political or social in any art ever. Mm-hmm. And that just seems anti-intellectual and like, it's missing the point.
It's like, okay, so like I go back and I rewatch police procedurals of the 80s and 90s, right? And you know what you see less of in those shows? They don't interrogate the necessity of law enforcement the way that a lot of them today do, which is like, you know what we need, guys? We need to send like counselors to fix disputes, or, corruption in law enforcement. Somehow back then, they managed to include stories about police corruption without it feeling to you like it was some type of aspersion being cast on the institution of law enforcement. Whereas today, when you get a corrupt law enforcement storyline, it's to ask the question, do we need this at all? But is that just because I'm seeing it in its current iteration? Or is it because when those original shows came out, I was not burdened by that discussion at all? I firmly believe that a lot of times when people say that they don't, that they can only watch old stuff, it's not even necessarily because it didn't have leftist or liberal commentary in it. It's that when that show came out and you saw it for the first time, you were not burdened by the knowledge you have now. So you watched it with a clearer, more free eye.
Yeah, that's I think what I'm trying to say is like we should kind of veer away from saying that like political themes have no place in art in any circumstance.
It's why I think Taylor Sheridan is so successful, because at the very least, he turns what feels like a shouted lecture into what is more akin to a conversation between two sides, which makes the propaganda go down easier. When you feel like there's a semblance of an argument from the other side of the aisle, this is why they've done themselves such a disservice over the years. They did far better presenting more rational. Like if you look at The Wire versus what was that show that the dude from The Wire that David Simon did, We Own This City or whatever it is, garbage. Modern garbage referencing stuff that was very current year, whereas many of the themes of The Wire still involved police corruption, still involved political corruption, but it interrogated the concept of life in gangs without it necessarily saying that all of it was environmental and that evil existed for many reasons, right? They did better when you presented several arguments rather than just one, but that is also the side effect of writers now coming from the film school procedure of growing up watching movies rather than reading books. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to formulate.
Audiences are perfectly willing to
be own this city.
By stories
I'm sorry.
That have political themes when they are not speaking down to the audience and also spreading false ideas. Like That's a distinction that's very important that I think needs to be made. But I think overall, people are kind of overhyping Project Hail Mary. Maybe it's just the "that's literally me" aspect of it. The fact that Ryan Gosling is the star of it. You know, the fact that it's not attached to a franchise that already is weighed down with a lot of baggage.
Yeah.
I liked it and I want it to do well. It's just not performing to where it should be.
All right, let's go to Super Chats. We got a 20 here, I think, that we missed from Pop Culture Junkie.
Yes. In Hail Mary, actress Sandra Huller's karaoke scene was added while shooting on the aircraft carrier. Gosling heard her singing in a hallway, and the scene was added. Huller's daughter suggested the song.
Oh, awesome.
It was a cute scene, but I didn't appreciate, you know, the reference to Harry Styles in it. But you know, whatever.
I'm telling you right now that Project Hail Mary, if it gets to the $690 million mark, that's. I mean, it's not the profit they would have liked for it.
Yeah.
But that's good enough to be getting on with.
Like you said off air, if it were directed by Nolan, it would already be at like $2 billion right now. Burned Oils said, Haley at it again. She's releasing a special taco called the Parachute. $1 of each sell goes to a law firm that defends illegal immigrants for free. Well, that sounds horrible.
Phil in the chat says that John Bernthal is going to beat me up. Is that because I said I didn't like the show We Run the City or whatever it was, or We Own the City, whatever the hell it was? Everybody knows that the other guy from The Wire, not Simon, but the other guy was the actual genius behind that show. But apparently you can only watch it with Nikki Glaser if you're her boyfriend. Because if anybody else was to watch The Wire with him, it would be cheating. That would be
emotional cheating.
Yes.
Actually. Katie said, hi, Brett and Mary. I shared the link to this channel on Russell Brand's Locals page.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for spreading the word. Pop Culture Junkie said, Mary, just saw your latest Instagram. So glad to see you retained your talent from being in choir in high school.
Were you in the choir in high school?
I'm extremely confused. I don't know. I don't know what that even is referencing. Sorry. I feel dumb. Dingus Khan of Mongolia said, is Serge still with Timcast? I kept asking on IRL, but got ignored. It's okay if you can't say. I do want to respect his privacy if he wants it on the DL.
I mean, okay. I don't have an answer to that.
Well, the answer is no, obviously.
Pat the plumber is dunking on me on the live chat. He says, Brett, do you think Kevin Spacey was better in Ghost or Dirty Dancing? So I didn't tell you. Oh, did I tell you? Yes, yesterday, when I was talking about Point Break, I said Kevin Spacey instead of Patrick Swayze. And I said that is going to sit with me when my head hits the pillow every night for at least 6 months.
It rhymes, sort of.
It kind of comes out in the same way. But the funny thing is like, have you ever seen those that account that's like Candace Owens mispronouncing stuff? Like, that's my ultimate fear is like, I misspeak often because I'm terrified of saying the wrong thing. So the fact that I could say Kevin Spacey and it didn't even clock in my brain is absolutely terrifying.
Okay, but having a flub like that is different than just like pronouncing a word so wrong repeatedly for years.
Somebody
like that's a different thing.
Somebody in the when I posted about it on X yesterday, they said I loved him in Roadhouse of Cards. It broke me a little bit. It was amazing.
Speaking of political shows, I mean House of Cards.
Yep. Another one people love.
And people love it. Shane H. Wilder said, damn, that is a lot of words to say. She got her fifis hurt. Yeah. That was like a whole manifesto that she wrote that day.
It's like, have you ever seen that thing where it's like when like your girl just texted you and the phone is like this big? Because it's like a text. Or it's like if you've ever seen the video of like the guy who's at the baseball game and somebody's filming him from behind and it says, dude just messaged his girl and he's been like this for 10 minutes and it's got the typing logo. And he's like,
Yeah. Like, I shouldn't feel like we're breaking up when you decide to deactivate your Instagram.
Correct.
Actually. Brian Bledsoe said, when I think of radical, terrible facial transformation, I think of rapper Lil Kim.
I never thought about that. I've never looked at like a Lil Kim before and after.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either. Burned Oils said, Mary's jokes are not funny, but they are interesting.
What?
What jokes?
Well, what?
I don't even think I make
that's
jokes.
Like a.
Like, I'm kind of serious all the time.
Like, that's like the most backhanded 6 of one, half a dozen of the other I've ever heard.
I don't know. I'm not really out here cracking jokes, but okay. Shane H. Wilder said, remember, feminism is whatever they say it is. It changes by the day. You know, they can just define it however they want. And whatever they're doing is feminist because it's a woman choosing to do something. Robert Delera said, the Nikki Glaser video was your cringe of the day. Also, Nikki Glaser is in the same category as Kathy Griffin. Obnoxious and annoying. She will be forgotten soon enough. It can't be soon enough. She's just getting jobs left and right. She's booked and busy.
Yep.
It's sad. Like, don't we have anybody else who could host the Golden Globes?
You'd think there would be somebody else.
Isaac Vanderbilt said modern women don't deserve marriage.
Rude.
Well, I mean, most people are still getting married. That's actually the truth. Like, people act like people don't get married anymore. Mm-hmm. Most people get married. Like,
all my liberal friends are married. They are
liberal, conservative, rich, poor. Most people get married, and
guess what? None of them are in polycules or
no,
weird.
They're not.
They're just.
Most people are not doing stuff like that. Try to remember that.
That's,
you know,
I mean, that's
you're looking at stuff on the internet. You're looking at stuff that entertainers are saying. They barely live on the same planet as us.
It is the internetification of what you think is normal. Yeah. Like, just because Vice or the Daily Beast does like some spotlight on a 7-person polycule. I mean, wait, is polycule a specific number? Does it become more if it's?
I think it just means. I think it means 3+.
Okay. If you want to talk about predictive
it goes from thruple to polycule when you go to 4 people or more.
Right. The show Elementary, the Sherlock Holmes spin-off show thing, did an episode about a thruple in like season 3 or 2. So we're talking like 2013.
Back when that was a novel idea.
Yeah. At the time, it's like, whoa, look at these crazy people. But of course, it was like, you know what they weren't? They weren't like, they didn't have like abscesses and acne on their face and blue hair, and none of them were fat. They were literally all doctors who worked at the same hospital. So it's like putting on the, your doctor could come in to help you with your, you go to see your dermatologist and not know that when he goes home, he's a complete freak.
It's the mythical hot polycule.
All normal
doesn't
people
exist in real life.
Yes.
Shane H. Wilder said, I actually confused Nikki with Chelsea. Yeah, she's not, quite as far gone. There's still time.
I maintain that Nikki Glaser looks like Tate McRae's mom.
Like in a parallel universe.
Yes. Yeah. With a little bit of Colby Calais mixed in.
I did definitely see the Colby Calais in her. Yeah. Shane H. Wilder said, it's MySpace era if MySpace era were gay. Yes, in both the literal and
there was probably some
juvenile sense of the word.
There was probably some, if not gay, some bi-curious going on for some of those weirdos on MySpace back in the day.
Yeah, that's true. Robert Delera said, first we had Alpine divorce, now Ozempic divorce. Stay strong, PCC married people. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you're marked safe unless you're crazy, That's if you take Ozempic and it makes you want to divorce your spouse, you already had some personality flaws that
you know what this is? Is it like the same type of logic where it's like you were always a bad person? It's like if you cheat when you're drunk, it's just revealing who you always were willing to do. If you divorce because you took Ozempic. You were always willing to do it.
That's true. I mean, it's sort of like an in vino veritas sort of thing. Like, I don't know. Someone come up with a version of that for Ozempic. Like, you wouldn't do something that you, while drunk, that you would never conceive of doing while sober. It does reflect your subconscious, the things that you're inhibited from doing. Cesario JPN said, oh, I think that you read that one earlier about Hawaii Five-0. Shane H. Wilder said, so we went from would you love me if I were a worm to would you love me if I weren't a beached land whale?
Yep.
Yeah.
The problem is she didn't trust his answer. He's like, of course, I will love you no matter what. And she's like, look, you clearly won't love me unless I'm a beached land whale. And realistically, I don't want to be loved by you once I'm not a beached land whale. Is what
well, look, it's like, this is maybe a cynical thing to say. I mean, of course, you expect that from me, but I feel like you can't really respect a guy who is with you when you are at like your worst.
What?
Like not emotionally. I mean, if you're like obese and this guy starts dating you when you're obese, it's like you're never going to respect him because he settled for you when you were like ugly and like way lower than your potential.
I mean, that would assume that you've got a very shallow view of attraction to begin with, though, right? Because if the idea
attraction is shallow.
Okay, the idea, yeah, but you are attracted.
Physical attraction is by definition.
Yeah, but
shallow.
I'm not talking about just the physical aspects. I'm saying theoretically, he's not just attracted to one aspect of you. That's almost like denigrating the other aspects of your personality, which theoretically, in this example, are what he would have been more attracted to, right? Like if he will be with you when you don't look your best, like what does that say if she wants to get pregnant one day? Is she only going to want to be with a dude who's...
That's not comparable, though.
Okay.
That's not comparable.
I'm just saying, like, I feel like that is like a guy's going to hear that and be like, bro, what do you want from me? Like, I like you when you're not at your best, so therefore I'm not shallow, but now suddenly that's a negative quality. That doesn't seem like a fair thing to put on a dude.
Nah, I mean, look, are there... Is that like a myth in and of itself that like this guy just falls in love with a 300-pound woman for her personality? Like, what's that? That doesn't really happen. Okay?
I don't know what the statistics are on all of that, but I'm saying that if you're not willing to, if you're going to take that side of a dude, I see somebody in the chat said, like doesn't want a guy with no standards. The question is, where does he put his standards, right? Is the idea here that she's a really good person? We could do this either way. It's a guy too. Like they're really good people, but they don't look like...
Okay.
Women make that value judgment all the time based on whether men are successful or not. Like
if a guy starts dating a woman who's obese, like, yeah, he has really low standards and probably like is settling.
If she's not willing to if she's going to look the gift horse, for lack of a better term, in the mouth at somebody who will date you when you don't look your best, I don't know what to say other than it's
different,
untenable.
I think it's different when you like later on. Obviously, everybody gets ugly. Everybody gets ugly and old. And everybody changes over time and gets less attractive over time. That's a different thing entirely than from the jump. This guy settled severely to be with you when you're obese and not taking care of yourself.
Is the idea
like,
here that he's in this example, he's of like a higher like a physical appear, like he's higher on the attractive scale than she is? Or is he supposed to look exactly like her?
In this hypothetical, yeah, sure.
Okay. I mean, look, I don't know. I would say that that's cynical and is going to leave a lot of dudes like, what do you want from me? But I get the argument. There is a rational part of my brain that sees an explanation, but I think it's cynical to a level where a lot of guys would just disengage and be like, look, I don't know what you want from me. Like, I liked you when you were bigger.
For the record, I don't think there's anything wrong with the guy, being attracted to a woman for superficial reasons,
No,
and then
of course not.
that opening the door to allow you to get to know somebody. I don't think there's anything wrong with superficial attraction.
But if a girl's like, if a guy's like, look, I've been with you since the beginning. Now you're skinny and you look down on me. Like, he's like, I am leaving and I'm taking your semaglutides with me, so you have to go buy more. I hope your insurance doesn't cover it. And I hope you step on a Lego.
Damn. That was brutal.
Yeah.
I almost felt like we were in that situation just now. Corey Anderson said sup.
Sup.
Boss N said $2 for the based holy dime piece Daria RBF Ghost Girl. There's always a sneak diss in there. Like the RBF one.
Which part is the RBF part, yeah. Yeah.
I don't appreciate that, even though it's true. Pop Culture Junkie said Crow was so right about Gladiator. Screenwriter John Logan agreed having him cheating on his wife would have totally invalidated the film's ending. It was sort of like that Jenna Ortega Wednesday moment where she had to like stop them from making Wednesday into a totally different character.
Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, can we get a Cinderella where they follow the fairy tale? The stepsisters lose their toes to fit in the slipper and get eaten by crows at the end. Yeah, I'm waiting for a slate of fairy tale inspired movies that actually stick to the original text from the Brothers Grimm, because I think that would be really good for at least like maybe PG-13 audience.
Yeah.
I think that would be really good. Greg Duvier said, what, Mary liked a movie? Is this allowed?
That does seem crazy.
I've liked movies from time to time. I am known to like a movie
She
from
liked
time to time.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
I don't know if we reviewed this on the channel. I remember I liked The Menu.
You did. I don't think we ever. I didn't see it. You liked The Menu. I didn't see The Menu.
I might have seen that on my own then. But The Menu was good. Fall Guy was good. Argyle was good. TMNT was good.
I was just talking. I just tweeted about Argyle, where like I think it was Matthew Vaughn, the guy, like was just like, man, they were brutal with me about that movie, and I'm like, yeah, well, like I loved the first half. I hated the second half. It kind of just faded into the ether with the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare last year or 2 years ago, whenever it was, and that last scene was so ridiculous, even I couldn't like abide.
Shane H. Wilder said, I can't hear morally gray characters without thinking of Wodenshot and Shane Davis. It's been the same for me ever since. I just try not to mention it because I don't know if other people remember, but yeah.
I'm hoping that when Supergirl comes out, that I can get Shane to do a review with me for a bonus episode of PCC. To talk all things Supergirl. I got to reach out to, like, that's one of the, like, I used to go on Ballers like a ton, but like after I got married, I'm like, I'm just going to enjoy my Friday nights now. I need to.
Good for you.
I need to go and do. I need to go back on there with those guys. I miss a couple of the guys, and every time I would come in the chat, they have to make fun of my voice and say that I'm gay because my voice is too high.
They're so rude.
I go in there and I'm like, I've missed this, guys.
Our chat is better. Shane H. Wilder said, I enjoyed the movie. The story was good, and it actually had good color grading. It's sad when the bar for a good movie is good story and looks pretty. I'll add that it didn't blow me away, but it is the best movie I've seen this year, or last year for that matter. I think I might say the same if we're talking about things that we've seen in theaters. And again, it's not a movie that I think is going to be remembered by anybody. It's not going to have much cultural impact.
Not in the same way as like an Interstellar did.
No, I don't.
Or even The Martian.
I don't think people are going to like look back on it as some sort of like cultural moment, but it was good, which is enough at this point. Shane H. Wilder said the Catholic metaphors were there, but subtle. Yeah, I don't know what to make of that because I guess, you know, he's just going to leave it up to interpretation, but that was definitely something that I heard people talking about after the fact. Robert Delara said the director of Project Hail Mary is Phil Lord. Makes you think. Does it? Why? I don't know anything about the director. Brian Bledsoe said
because his name is Lord.
Well, okay, that's not scripted, I guess, but Brian Bledsoe said, I saw in an article in The Federalist arguing in detail that Project Hail Mary was a Christian allegory, even unintentionally.
See, that's the point. Like, if he leaves it open for interpretation, everybody can argue amongst themselves.
And everyone can feel it. Thank you. I did also appreciate that it has climate change storyline that isn't, it's not like bogged down with current day politics.
Yeah.
Like the climate change storyline is revolving around a climate event that has nothing to do with human behavior.
Mm-hmm. So it's not something the government can regulate and fix.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, somehow...
It's certain doom.
Somehow the movie The Day After Tomorrow, which is literally climate propaganda, where like the guy's at a conference talking about climate change, and then like literally the next day the climate change happens and everything goes bad.
The climate changed.
Literally the next day.
Pop Culture Junkie said, Mary, I was making a bad joke implying that the voice in your Instagram was coming from you. Sorry for the confusion. Well, if we're talking about the same post, that audio that I used is Alex Jones. I did enjoy his rendition of that song that he came up with on the spot. Pat the Plumber said, sorry, Brett. Hope this makes up for the dunking.
You're always welcome to dunk, my friend. I always appreciate it.
Shane H. Wilder said, you said that Kevin Spacey grabbed people.
Yeah, that was a poor choice of words. You don't want Kevin Spacey grabbing you.
No, or anyone. And Mary doesn't crack jokes, just skulls. Okay, now I'm a murderer? I don't know. I mean,
theoretically, you can crack skulls without being a murderer.
I guess, yeah. Boss N said, as the new top Mary simp, first decree is to a moment of silence for Moon at Noon, my mentor when I joined the chat. LOL. By the way, great show. Have a good weekend.
Have a good one.
Wow, I wonder what drove him away from the chat once and for all.
Don't know.
I think I cracked too many jokes. Corey Anderson said, I don't like Amy Schumer. I hope her ex got that bag. I mean, who knows? Maybe her ex made more money than her. I have no idea who he is. I don't remember his name. Shane H. Wilder said, I hope everyone has a great weekend and a blessed Divine Mercy Sunday. Yes, huge opportunity for a plenary indulgence coming up, folks. Corey Anderson said Patrick Swayze was great in Donnie Darko. Ironically, his character did what Kevin Spacey was accused of in IRL.
People were somebody then yesterday sent me like an AI. I assumed it was AI of like Patrick Swayze and Kevin Spacey hugging. I was like, bro, I'm never gonna recover from this.
Antonio Lucero said, no sneak diss here for Mary and the pop news content. Well, thank you. I appreciate you. Bree Anderson said Nikki Glaser's roast of Alec Baldwin was hilarious. I don't remember that. That must have been a while ago, though. Mm-hmm. Pop Culture Junkie said Brothers Grimm original stories are grim.
If you've ever seen this, I mean, I know that to be true. I haven't like read the books or whatever, all of the stories, but the show Grimm was great. Very dark and brooding. Really good. Everybody should go watch it. I believe it's on Amazon Prime, and it's worth watching if you have not. I think we were all caught up over on Rumble as well, where they're having their own discussions about whatever it may be. But big plans this weekend?
I'm going out of town on a special trip.
Hey, oh, yeah, yes.
Say much else.
You will be back Wednesday. You will not be here on Monday.
Yes. I'm going to be out for Monday's episode, but back on Wednesday. Can't say much about the purpose or location of the trip, though, just for OPSEC reasons, but I'll let you guys know after the fact.
How it goes.
How it went, yeah. Just a family thing, so don't expect podcast appearance out of it, but
there's another one here from Shane H. Wilder. He says, I prepped for the indulgence by hitting the 6 a.m. confession this morning. I is prepared.
Let's go.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's do outros because you needed to be out of here at
Yeah, I
5
gotta
today.
hightail it out of here to the airport.
All right, guys, before we go, hit the like button as always on this episode and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please, 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 please go and like the videos, like the segments. I am still recovering. Literally, I coughed earlier.
Yeah.
And Mary's like, my gosh, it's still not gone. Like,
Yeah,
it's still rough up in here, guys. So go ahead and like all the videos and leave a comment because it helps us in the algorithm. Mary, where can they find you?
You guys can send me validation on Instagram. That is Mary Archived. Or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived.
One more here from Greg Duvier. Says, I like Toitos and all the lanes are for crime.
Don't endorse that statement.
Don't do it. Obey the law, ladies and gentlemen. All right, guys. As always, if you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and on X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. PCC is live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch the show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcast and on Spotify, which is a great way you can help the channel out with that as well. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at popculturecrisis, Instagram at popculturecrisispod. Guys, we will be back with another episode on Monday. We will see y'all then. Later, everybody.
Bye.